Some buildings are more than just bricks and mortar. They're silent witnesses to history, their walls soaking up the joy, sorrow, and tragedy of every soul that has passed through their doors. They hold onto these memories, replaying them in whispers and shadows long after the players have departed. In the heart of Annapolis, Maryland, stands one such building, the Maryland Inn. For over 2.5 centuries, it has welcomed travelers, statesmen, and soldiers. But not every guest has checked out. On the 4th floor, one resident remains, trapped by a love shattered by death, forever waiting for a day that will never come. The Maryland Inn has welcomed guests since before the United States was even a nation. Presidents have walked its halls, and history has been made within its rooms. But behind its elegant, time-worn facade lies a chilling history of tragedy and restless spirits. On the 4th floor, there's a permanent resident. They say a bride, whose wedding day ended in unimaginable heartbreak, still walks these halls, forever searching for the groom she lost. You can't miss it, a unique, triangular building looming over a busy Annapolis intersection. The historic Maryland Inn is as striking on the outside as it is haunted on the inside. Built around 1772 by a respected local merchant, the inn is one of the oldest continuously operating hotels in the country. When it was advertised for sale in 1782, it was described as an elegant brick house, one of the first houses in the state for a house of entertainment. And what entertainment it has seen! The inn quickly became a cornerstone of Annapolis society. For a short time, Annapolis served as the nation's capital, and the inn was at the center of it all, hosting delegates to the U.S. Congress. These were the days when figures like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were shaping the future of the country right there in Annapolis, and some sources suggest they were guests at the inn. But the inn has also been a silent observer of the nation's darkest hours. During the War of 1812, terrified guests may have watched from their windows as conflict raged in the Annapolis harbor. Later, during the Civil War, the inn provided lodging for Union officers, its rooms filled with the tension of a country torn apart, while the city itself served as a military hub. The very bricks seem saturated with the echoes of the past, and it's from this deep, complex history that its most famous story emerges. Every great haunting has a story, and the tale of the Maryland Inn. As 4th floor is a legend of profound love and devastating loss. As the story goes, in the early 19th century, a young woman arrived at the inn to wait for her fiancé, a Navy captain named Charles Campbell, who was finally returning from sea. After years of waiting, their wedding was finally set to happen. She checked into a room on the 4th floor, her heart filled with relief and excitement. She had patiently sewn her own wedding dress, stitch by stitch, pouring all her hopes into the fabric. From her window, she kept a constant vigil, watching the street for his arrival. Then, she saw him, his familiar figure striding towards the inn. Her heart leaped. He was here. He was safe. But her joy turned to horror in an instant. As Captain Campbell stepped into the street to cross towards the inn, a horse-drawn carriage appeared, moving way too fast. Before his bride's helpless eyes, the captain was struck down and trampled on the cobblestones below. From the top floor of the inn, she let out a wild cry. She raced from her room and into the street, pushing through the gathering crowd. Her pristine, snow-white gown was now stained with dirt and blood as she cradled the man she loved. But it was too late. Captain Campbell was dead-killed just feet from the inn where his future wife awaited him. Consumed by a grief so profound it shattered her, she retreated to her room on the 4th floor. The world outside ceased to exist. In the end, her heart simply gave out. She died right there in her room, a victim of pure, unbearable heartbreak. Legend says their spirits never left. While Captain Campbell is sometimes reportedly seen in his naval uniform in the basement taproom, it's his heartbroken bride who has made the 4th floor her eternal home. For well over a century, the tragic energy of that day has refused to fade. It lingers on the 4th floor of the Maryland Inn, where the ghostly bride continues her anxious wait. Countless guests and staff members have reported encounters with a presence they can't explain, a sorrow that feels ancient and palpable. Her story is so well known that daring visitors often request her room, hoping for a ghostly encounter of their own. The most common reports are sounds. The distinct, unnerving sound of anxious footsteps is often heard pacing back and forth on the hardwood floors of the fourth floor hallway, and specifically in the room legend says was hers, room 405. One guest, staying on the fourth floor when the hotel was nearly empty, reported hearing footsteps following him down the hall. When he turned around, the corridor was completely empty. Yet, as he continued walking, the floorboards creaked behind him once more. Other encounters are far more personal. Guests on the fourth floor have reported feeling an inexplicable and sudden chill settle over them. Some have been jolted awake by the distinct sensation of someone sitting at the foot of their bed, an unseen weight pressing down on the mattress. The window in room 405 has its own reputation, known to inexplicably fly open or slam shut on its own. Disembodied voices and whispers are also a common theme. Employees have reported hearing faint voices in empty rooms or catching the scent of a phantom perfume with no source. One couple, who stayed at the inn unaware of its haunted reputation, experienced something they couldn't explain. The wife awoke in the middle of the night and saw a light that seemed to be on in the closet. So unnerved, she just hid under the covers. The next morning, they found there was no light inside the closet at all. They only learned later that they were staying in a place where strange occurrences are part of the building's very fabric. With so many consistent paranormal claims, the inn has naturally drawn the attention of ghost hunters and paranormal investigators. Armed with digital recorders, thermal cameras, and EMF detectors, numerous groups have walked the fourth floor halls, hoping to capture proof of the ghostly bride. Investigators often focus on room 405, the supposed epicenter of the haunting. During sessions using electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP, some claim to have captured faint, disembodied responses to their questions. Whispers like "waiting" or "he's gone" have allegedly been recorded, though their quality is almost always up for debate. Then there are the temperature drops. Teams have recorded sudden cold spots appearing out of nowhere, with temperatures dropping 10 to 15 degrees in seconds before returning to normal just as quickly. These cold spots often appear in the same areas where guests have felt an unseen presence or heard phantom footsteps. EMF detectors, designed to pick up energy fluctuations, are said to go haywire on the fourth floor, with meters spiking for no obvious reason. Skeptics might blame old wiring in a historic building, but believers point to it as a sign of a spirit trying to manifest. Whether it's faulty wiring or a spirit's energy, watching the equipment react in a dark, silent hallway is undeniably chilling. So what is it that haunts the fourth floor of this historic inn? Is it merely the creaks and groans of a building that has stood for over 150 years? Are the stories just tales, embellished over decades? Or is the heartbroken spirit of a young bride truly trapped in a loop of sorrow, forever pacing the floors of her room, forever peering from the window, waiting for a love that was stolen from her in the most brutal way imaginable? The Maryland Inn continues to welcome guests, its place in history secure. But for some who stay there, there's an unsettling feeling that they aren't entirely alone. It's a chilling reminder that in places steeped in such powerful emotion, not every story has an ending. If you enjoyed this look into the haunting of the Maryland Inn, be sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the unknown. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Do you believe the ghostly bride still waits?